In the end, whatever you put out into the market is a clear representation of who you are as an organization. And that's how you're going to drive more business. So you don't want to put garbage into the market.
From Toronto, PHANTA Media presents the Not So Corporate Podcast.
Hello, bro.
Hello.
Oh, threw him off his game.
Hello. It's Mark Drager, and I am the host of the Not So Corporate Podcast. I'm joined here in studio with Mr. Roland Echeverria.
He got top billing today.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
I always go from my left. I always
know.
go clockwise. Also here in the studio is the Madam Leah Earl.
Madam, wow.
That's like the lady that runs the whorehouse.
Yep.
Madam, just so you know.
Wow.
Wow. I did
And she's
not
pregnant,
say that.
so
But
wow.
you knew that.
I did not say that. But there is, over there is Leah Earl. How you doing, Leah? Over there, in front of this giant board. Walk me through what's behind you.
Wow.
You're sitting in our boardroom, and we have this really large board that's like 4 feet tall by 8 feet wide or something.
It wasn't
And you
being
have it
used
covered
properly.
in crap. What's on it?
Business strategy charts and notes.
If anyone's listening to this and not okay, so if you're watching this on YouTube, we're
Just
going
take
to
a picture and put it
we're
on
going to cut to a
Instagram.
photo of it right now. If
Do
you're
you have
listening
a
to this,
photo of it?
we will
No,
take a
we're
photo.
about to have one.
If you're listening to this, you got to go to the our blog episode page, because this board is covered in pieces of paper that have quote unquote strategy on them, which is basically just a lot of line charts and buzzwords that don't fit in at all. Why is this looking this way?
Well,
It makes no
Roland
sense. Roland's taking a photo of it now.
yeah.
It makes no
Make
sense.
sure people can zoom in
landscape,
and read it.
Landscape, buddy. Come on. Who takes photos? Why do you and my wife insist on taking every photo with your phone upright? Anyway.
It's there because Roland is in the middle of a production, like
It's crazy.
a really intense production.
But in your mind, this is what strategy looks like. So it's a bunch of lines and arrows going to
Yeah.
buzzwords like idea and community, growth,
Yeah.
quality, social.
I mean, Roland helped me with the content. I would get some.
It's all original content.
I also like how
I
one
drew
of
a
the,
lot of it, and he'd give me words for
one
it.
of the post-its says pivot turn. Is that what that
No,
says?
that actually is written by Manny, and it is my favorite one. It says 4-point churn,
Four
which is a business term Manny thought of, but I actually think it's something you learn when you are getting your driver's
That's a
license.
3-point turn. But anyway, a 4-point
Well,
turn.
a 4-point turn would be a little bit a more difficult maneuver.
So you're saying a 3-point turn is what you learn, but because Manish is the driver that he is,
yeah,
he does a
he's
4-point
turn. Like he had to do it 4 times. To get
And
out of the spot.
then there's another one that just says takeover with an arrow pointing to
Take
nowhere.
over.
Oh,
No, wait. There's
gosh.
one that says do's, and then there's one that says dons. He like
Yes.
forgot the T. Those are
Dons and do's.
I love
Dons and
it.
do's.
I love it. I see one that says pros and cars. Pros.
No, it's pros and cons.
Cons are failure and time. How's failure con?
It's
and
a con.
pros
If you
is
failed,
I
pros
like the
is
takeover one.
performance and efficiency. Is that what it
that
says?
would be a pro.
Anyway, enough of the board, but it is there, and you should take a look at it. It's
I'm
funny.
very proud of it.
We have a very special episode this week because we're joined with Tania Stadnik, who is both the owner of Hopskip Marketing, of her own firm, her own marketing firm that she started in 2015 last year, and she is also the president-elect for AMA Toronto. Now, why I wanted her to come on is we have worked with and had the privilege of being friends with Tania for a number of years, and we've worked with her through the AMA, the American Marketing Association Toronto chapter. We're an official partner of theirs, and so we've had the chance to work with her both in her capacity at that nonprofit. So AMA is basically like it's a marketing association made up of mid-level marketers and senior marketers who get together. It helps you out with networking. It helps you out with your career. It has this great awards night. It does other kind of learning type events. And so, in terms of our strategies, we love connecting with people who are like-minded. And we found the AMA to be the best way to do that. So we've known Tania for a few years. We've been able to work with her at the AMA, at her previous agency, and then now with her own agency that she started. I wanted to bring her on because when I think of account managing, and I think of people who are like really, really good at managing the accounts with clients, I think of her. And so account managing is something that's been top of mind for us for the last year. It's been something that we've been looking at. How do we get better? You know when you have those light bulb moments where you don't really think about something, but something's broken, like in a process, in a business, in a relationship, something's broken, then you have this light bulb moment where one day where you're like, oh my goodness, I just realized we're not good at this. Like, this is something we don't think about. For us, that was account managing. It was like, we knew that project management was important. We knew that sales was important. We knew that lots of things around delivery were important, but we just never thought about account managing. And we didn't think about it. It was like, to us, it was like relationships. It was just something where one day we had a light bulb moment. We're like, you know what? If we were better at this, maybe people would like us more. Maybe people would work with us more.
That's right.
And so we spent the last year really looking into it. And someone who I've had lots of lunches, lots of coffees with was Tania. And I thought, you know what? Let's bring her on the podcast. Let's talk about account managing. And let's just work through it. Because I think it's something that we can get a lot better at. But I think it's something that a lot of people don't think about. And we can all, and everyone, the entire world can get a lot better at it.
100%. That's right.
Do you have anything else to add, Roland?
100%.
Okay, well, let's get Tania in studio and jump into the conversation then. So as I mentioned in the opening, we're joined with Tania Stadnik from Hopskip Marketing. So Tania, welcome.
Thank you.
And Roland, did you just look like you wanted to jump in and welcome her as well?
Welcome.
Welcome. Official
Bienvenue.
welcome. Bienvenue au podcast.
Oh, but
So just to jump into it, what are some of the things that have led you to where you are in your career? You know, I mentioned that you're now taking over the AMA Toronto as supreme leader. You run your own agency. How is it that you got to being so amazingly successful at such a young age?
Oh, I like the young age part there. I think there's some key moments in my life. You know, I made a decision to leave Vancouver and come to Toronto because I felt like there was more opportunity out here. I went back to school to do my postgrad, and out of that I ended up going into recruiting, which didn't really make a true connection between marketing and PR, but that's where I ended up. And then I was chatting with one of my clients, and I ended up taking the job that I was trying to fill, and that was with a woman by the name of Jacqueline Grossman, who is also on the AMA board. And so she brought me into that fold, which definitely has been huge in kind of shaping my career and giving back to the marketing community. So
now that's on the AMA side, though.
Yeah.
But on your personal side, you know, being in marketing, working for agencies, working for clients, taking the leap of starting your own firm, which you did last year.
Yep.
Why?
Because I felt like I couldn't control my own destiny otherwise. So I would go in and I would work, you know, in these agencies or on the corporate side, and I would always own it as if it was my own. But the reality was it wasn't my own. And so I didn't control how I could be with clients or where the money got spent and how I could really bring value. So the only way for me to really do that and feel good about it was to own my own agency. So why not? I figured I grew up in an entrepreneurial household, and I thought, hey, let's try it, see what happens.
Interesting.
Why is that interesting, Roland?
That's all I got.
Wow. That is the kind of value that you should come to expect from this podcast.
Yeah. Roland, are you being distracted by the board behind me?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Roland is saying,
colors.
I think you're saying interesting because this is like an ongoing theme in your mind, Roland, which is what? Taking control, taking budget.
The budget.
The budget side, okay. So, but back to you, Tania. So why do you think you've seen success? What, like for you, when you think about your personal skill sets, really, why is it that you think you've been successful?
Perseverance, and I'm really anal, to be honest. I people make fun of me because of it, but I am very particular. I know what I want. I am very scheduled. I try to not let anything fall off my radar, and that analness, for lack of a better word, has really kept me.
Is that even a word though?
I don't know.
Lack of a better word.
I don't think it is.
People know what it means.
Yeah.
Analness.
my
We should do a documentary about illness.
My particular nature
Okay.
has, I think, really
What about
helped to drive my
attention to detail? Can we say that? Does that sound better?
No,
No,
I
anal is
don't-
better.
no,
It's not
I
the
think
same.
It's not the same.
No.
No?
I was going to ask you if I have to bleep it, though.
Why?
You make it sound worse, right?
I think, Leah, hold on. We can let it go.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as we don't take analness any further, I think we can let it go. So I wanted to have you on because when I think about the people that we've come across that we work with, you spoke about how how particular you are in terms of making sure that things happen a certain way, a certain style, a certain level of quality. To me, that all just wraps into great account managing.
Yeah.
Being able to ensure that you can work with the client to help them get their needs, make them feel good, like they're in control, but at the same time, not go crazy. In marketing, in terms of the people who are listening to the podcast and who we try to work with and help out, account managing is this mysterious thing where it's like, is it project management? Is it sales? Is it producing or delivering, or what is it? Like, in your mind, what makes great account managing?
I think it's all of those things that you've mentioned. For me, a big focus really is project management's a huge piece of it. Really being able to with my clients, I build out a plan and I have to be able to deliver to that plan. If I don't, they're not clients anymore. And so it's about project management. It's about relationships and trust. If my clients don't trust me, or I don't trust the people that I work with, I'm not going to be able to get their buy-in on things. I'm not going to be able to, there's certain times where I don't know, or they don't know what the outcome's going to be. It's a territory they've never entered, and they're kind of scared. It's their business and the making or breaking potentially of their business. So if they don't trust me, we're not going to move forward. So I think it's trust, project management, accountability. Sales is maybe in there. I don't know.
Lead
generation.
But my work, not work.
Well, I think it depends.
Depends
of whether it's an like an agency model or not, account managing. But I don't know. Like, do you think salespeople can succeed today? Like, do you think there's a role for like old school sales, or is it really all become account like whatever the word maybe you might use, if it's business development or what have you? It's not like we're gone past the days of just like, here's a price list. Buy some stuff off of us, right?
Sales is it's a very different environment, right? I still think that there's a role it plays, or biz dev, but it's very different. You have to think about how many buying decisions are made before anyone ever picks up the phone to talk to you, or the opportunity when you get in front of them. They say it's between 70 to 80% of the buying decisions already been made. So the days of a salesperson just hitting the pavement, I think, are gone. And so it has to be married with a really good marketing strategy and a really good team. The marketing side's being done, but it's being supported by the sales and biz dev. Yes, I'm an account manager for all of my clients, but I'm their marketing lead, and I'm helping to bring all of those pieces together.
The first thing I think of is whenever I can sit down with someone and ask why they're good at it. Most people can't necessarily articulate why I'm good at it, but so many people are bad at it. Why aren't more people good at it? Is it just like lack of focus, or is there an innate ability that you need to have to be able to be a strong accounts person?
I think it's like anything. Some people are really good at some things and not others. So account management's no different than, like, I can't be an engineer, right? That's not what I focused my...
Well, not with that attitude, you couldn't.
I never wanted to be an account management, I never wanted to be in engineering. But to me, account management's about relationships. It's about talking to people. It's about... really keeping focus and being able to deliver. So if that's something that inspires you and gets you motivated, then it's a great role for you. If it's not, then it's not the right role. And as you grow up through your career, you'll make decisions and you'll figure out where you fit and where you don't. So I didn't do my education in marketing. It's just something that I, as my career went forward, I ended up in, because I know I'm good at it and I could deliver for my clients.
What are you just laughing about?
I'm not.
It's
It's because my next question would always be, but why? Like you said.
I think what it is like some people love what they do, other people just do a job, and those who do a job are the people. And then there's one blade for you, Leah.
Thanks.
and then those who are passionate about what they do, and they're so passionate, they just do it, and it comes natural. Don't tell me someone is passionate about something and suck at it.
No, I think you're right. I'm just, as I'm thinking about this, I don't know anyone who goes like, I want to grow up and go into accounts. They find themselves there because
just want to talk to
good
people,
with
help people. That's different.
Or they want to not actually do any real work if they're in an agency.
Well,
and that's all the ones that suck.
They want to
those
wine
are the ones
and
that suck and don't
dine
make it, right?
And not actually do any real work, not actually make any tough calls, not actually push the client to make any big decisions. They're just like doing this all the time, right?
The light touch.
I couldn't survive in those types of environments, so I never went down that, real agency world. I always worked in smaller agencies where you work long hours. So if you're not passionate about it and you're not committed to it, then it's not going to work, right? Because it requires very long days. I know when at my last job, I worked crazy hours and I was exhausted, and the decision to leave and start my own company was a big one. Not because I thought I'd work less hours, but at least it created more passion in me for it because it was mine, right? It was 60-hour weeks that, okay, in the end, I can control what I do for my clients versus I should only be working 40 hours, but it's going to take me 60 hours based on what we've scheduled, but we're only billing for 40 hours. And so my hand's being slapped because of it.
In terms of your career, when you got into marketing, you were in a corporation. So you would be more like client side, working with agency partners. And then you went and worked in an agency, and now you're on your own agency. So you've seen both sides. You've been able to say like, hey, from a client point of view, what great account managing is, and then from a vendor point of view, what a great account managing is. Yeah. Having seen both of those sides, do you have any tips for people like us? I mean, like, I know what I expect from customer service and what I expect from people, but I've never really worked on the corporate side. I've only ever worked on the vendor side, the partner side. So I know what, to me, great account managing is, but what would be your advice having seen both sides of it?
Well, I think from the corporate side, there's often tight budgets. And so where you choose to spend your money, when you actually make the choice to go invest your money, say in video or marketing or whatever it may be, there's high expectations that you're going to deliver. And so if you're not, then there becomes an issue. So for me, I know as on the corporate side, my expectations were very high of the people who are, and they still are, of the people that are working for me. So, on the reverse now, I try to make sure that anything that I would expect in the scenario is what I'm delivering to them. And if I can't do that, if there's some gap that's happening, I have open communication about that. So maybe that's some of the advice is to don't hold it in, like have conversation, because conversation creates solutions to problems, and you can figure out the path that you need to be on. I kind of swayed away from your main question there, but I think it's about expectations and being able to meet those. You're not always going to know what they are for one client to the next, but if you're always operating with the goal of trying to meet those expectations and operating from a place of authenticity, you're in a better predicament.
Why do you think most people are afraid to do that? Like they're afraid to sit in front of a client and go, I had a client that we're working with more longer term said, hey, what do you think about, and they threw some term out, and it was like, I don't know, they threw some term out that had to do with social media sales or something. And I was like, I don't think I've ever heard that term before. Like, what do you mean? Yeah. And I asked more, and then I was like, oh, do you mean this? Do you mean that? I was able to kind of figure out what they mean. And I had no answer for them. I was like, I can go away and look into this and let you know, but I personally do not have a take on this right now. And I don't know, and I don't know how it would play into your business, and I just don't know. I had enough trust built with them where I didn't have to have the answer, and we moved on to the next thing. Do you think people are afraid to be open or transparent or admit that they don't know something, or like they're being paid, so they certainly have to have all the answers? Yeah,
I think so. I think experience plays into that as well. You
don't put that much pressure on yourself, do you?
To know everything?
Yeah.
I put pressure on myself to stay in tune with what's happening within the industry. But if I don't know something and it's evident, and where I'm having a conversation, I would have played that scenario out the exact same way. I don't think there's any fault in saying I'm going to go away and figure out this situation or whatever it is, and out of that we can see how it's going to unfold. But I tend to operate that way in general in everything, because I think it's too hard to pretend like you know everything, right? Really, that's a hard place to exist in.
Yeah,
we can't, and especially in the world we're living in, that things are changing all the time. We can't be experts in everything, but we can lean on people who are and be able to, and that's more valuable to a client, to be able to say, I'm going to go figure this out, and if I can't, I'll bring the right person to the table that can have that conversation with us.
Do you think, a thought just came to my mind, like so much of what we do when we try to talk to people to share our intentions rather than like our motivations or our intentions rather than like specifically tactical stuff. Because the thing that we try to do is we try to say, listen, like our goal is to do this with you, or we want to figure this out, or we want to do this, or we want to have the opportunity to do that. And it's not a conversation around, well, it's X, Y, Z, it's this much money, it's this da-da. It's like it's not that specific thing. It's just, we just want to share how we want to help people. And I think that's why over the years, the work that we've been able to do together, it's like there's a certain amount of trust there because you understand, for everyone who, to fill in the audience, like we're a partner of the AMA Toronto, and so we help work with stuff, and we've worked together a number of years. But our intention is always to do X or to do Y, and that we haven't figured it out yet, and you kind of trust us to do that.
Totally.
Is that something that you share with your client? Like, is that something that all of us should be doing, is spending a lot more time not worrying about the tactical specific things, but just focusing on what our intentions are?
I think everything has a role to play, right? That tactical things come in at a certain point in time. But the steps before that are really about that vision, about the inspiration, about coming up with the ideas so that you can move into that tactical space. And yes, it does come down to trust. When you and I sit down at the beginning of the year to plan for, say, Marketing Hall of Legends, better than anyone, most times I'm like, I don't really know what I want. And we hash it out or we talk it out, and then normally you go away to your team, and I know that when you come back to me, you're going to give me 2 or 3 options, and that they're all going to be very good, and I have to figure out which one it is that I want. But I completely trust the process we go through. And even times where I'm not looking at visuals, you're just telling me what your idea is, right? And hopefully at the end product's going to look like that, and it has. So we built that trust over the years.
But that also has to do with the fact that our process has actually become looser, right? Like there was this weird, we've worked together for maybe 4 or 5 years now. So there was this weird watershed moment a few years ago where I went, you know what? You're too busy to worry about this. We're just going to run with it and yell at us later if you don't like it. Yeah. And you didn't yell at us. It worked out. So we were able to trust enough that we kind of have control over it, and what we're working with your best intentions in mind and ours, obviously, as a partner. So it kind of just worked that way, and so far we haven't gotten into trouble. No. This year was a little risky, where we had to pitch you, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, but we got there. I think that there's room for process and structure, and then there's room for creativity. And in the field that we're all in, creativity is huge. Without that, then it just becomes everyone's doing the same thing and following the same tactics. Even when you look at the marketing field, there's only so many things that you can do. It's all about the creativity that you bring to it. Yes, budget's obviously going to help, but the creativity and the passion and the ability to kind of move it forward in a way that differentiates you from other people that you're competing against.
Roland has been continually making money sounds as you've been talking. Roland, this is an audio medium.
There's no video here.
But you guys can see me, so that's what counts.
Yeah. So you wanted to jump in and say
budget.
Was that money? I thought
it's
he was
money.
like
he just kept going.
Cat over.
It's money. It's money.
I don't know.
It's funny that the money symbol, rolling a money in your hands, your first thought is he's calling a cat over.
I don't know. Could have been true.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
How do you go like this to your
Roland
cat?
budget?
I don't know.
Budget is very important.
What do you think, Roland? What do you think about account managing? Because you're not really an account manager.
I don't know
so
anything
much
about
so much of what
managing.
you do is tied to account managing, though.
I don't know the technicalities of account managing. I never took any course on that. I don't
think there are courses.
No.
There's like project management courses.
Sure. Okay.
But
I think all it is you're there for someone. You're there to help them get through something, and it's not about you yelling at them or you being yelled at. It's a collaboration and kind of getting in the trenches, working together, and at the end, hopefully, everybody's happy.
But there's this old saying, and I don't know. I think it's Jewish, but there's this old thought or saying where it's like,
I don't know.
Does it matter?
well, I don't know. I like to credit.
Credit where credit is due.
Exactly.
Credit the culture that a saying comes
the
from.
whole faith. So I like to credit the whole faith. But no, but I have a Jewish friend who I think is the one who told me this. But there's like this idea that like it's easy to be a good friend when times are good, but you only prove your friendship when times are bad. Right? Like it's easy to be married when times are good, but you only
I think
prove.
that's just a common.
That's a common thing.
Maybe it's common. Let's just not associate it with the Jewish faith.
I think it's probably a
let's
good
go
plan.
ahead and make it common to all. And that's the thing, when you have a great client, it's super easy to manage that account because it's like you love them and you're friends and you're both doing great work and it's like, this is great. What about when things aren't great and like and we come along and fire people and like we fired accounts, but that maybe we're not good account managers if we have to resort to letting someone go.
I've been with you on one of those accounts that you fired, and I think that
I felt so bad about that.
But I don't think it was the right call, and the client thought that too. The client realized that their expectations were they were not realistic. And the reason why you guys couldn't land on something was because he didn't actually know what he wanted and he was going in 20 different directions. So until he got that focus, no matter what you produced would not have been the right thing in the end, right?
Right. And so you find yourself in a situation where you're managing the account, and they're just never happy. What do you, I mean, like, let's say that you aren't going to fire them. There's certain people where I had a business coach in my first year who said, listen, Mark, you're not going to like everyone you work with.
No.
So do you want to be in business or do you want to go bankrupt with your friends? And so sometimes you got to work with people that aren't great.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you grit your teeth and get through it?
You can work through it, but there's always going to be at least that very small percentage where you're better off just going your different directions. No matter how hard you try, you can kick out of the can, you can do everything that's in the book, not in the book, all the things, as long as you're authentic and genuine and you mean everything you're doing, but if it's not working, it's just not working.
I have a client who I have a very good relationship with, but he is the most challenging client I have ever worked with. And I continually, every week that I meet with him and I go through all the stuff we're working on, I leave the conversation feeling like, how did I miss this or miss that? Because he never really seems to be happy. And what I will say though is I've learned more about account management in the process of working with him than I have in a long time, about not necessarily always communicating the way that I think things should be done, but figuring out what it is about him. What does he need? How does he need to work? Maybe the processes that I put into HopSkip are not what my client actually needs. So about shifting to meet with that. Now, there are times where the things he's asking are unrealistic or we just haven't had enough time to be able to show the results. And I'll be honest in that situation. He may not like it, but I'm not trying to sugarcoat something. So 6 months down the road, when I produce a report that says this is where it is, he's not aware of the situation. So I think that you're going to have challenging clients, just like you said, right? But you have to find a way to work with them. And if you can't, then you have to collectively come to an agreement that you need to part ways. I actually tried to fire myself from that client at one point and it didn't work. He wouldn't let me.
Okay.
Because
he just said no.
Yeah, pretty much. And
Okay.
it was a challenging situation because I wanted to bail. But in the end, I realized that I just had to figure out how to work with him. And since that moment of truth, I'll call it, between the two of us, our working relationship has become significantly better because he does trust me. He's just never had marketing before. So he doesn't understand all these pieces, but he also believes that he's an expert in everything. So he is an expert in many areas because he works in a certain space of marketing, but he's not in others, right? So it's about, I really have to find a place that works and where I can educate him, but his knowledge of where our industry is going to be a year, 2, 3 years from now also plays into it. So it's complicated. But the point more is around like he's been a challenging client, and all of the things that have worked with all of our other clients don't work with him.
So it's almost like you said it's making you a stronger account manager, but if you're able to push him and he gives you trust and he's able to push you and you're willing to take it, then a year or two from now, you'll both be better off.
Yes. But I
it's
think
just very painful.
It is. And there's painful days and there's great days, right? But we have had to figure out what our sweet spot is and how we work together. And that's taken time. And I think that's also part of it, that I'm fortunate enough because it is my own company to be able to invest the time that I need to into whether it's this client or any of my clients. I will give them as much time as they need. I will never walk away saying, you're asking too much of me. Now, that's a personality thing for me because I like to be able to solve whatever problems are there and I like to be able to do it very well. That's what they pay me for.
That's something, because it's like, I have the fortunate, I'm fortunate enough in our business that I haven't really, when was the last time I was actually in production in any facility, in any capacity other than account managing?
He was in a shot today. He was the talent.
he was like the most challenging talent ever.
I know. I heard him lipping you the entire time.
Haven't you been at every marketing Hall of Legends once?
Yeah, but yes.
Yes.
I have been. I wasn't at Aldo because if something came up. It may have been baby time, actually.
Maybe it was baby time.
Mostly I miss shoots because I'm having a baby, but in those capacities, I literally just rock in, keep them occupied while he sets stuff up in the crew, and then I chit-chat, and then he gets mad at me for distracting them, and then we shoot. But something that you mentioned there, it's like, which really changed my business, was when I stopped thinking of myself as a billable hour, and I started going, you know what? I have smart people who can deliver. All of the time I spend with clients should be free, right? Like now it's expensive, but and I wouldn't equate that for if I no, I would, because I go out on set all the time and I do not bill the clients for my time on set because I feel like I'm there in an account managing capacity. But if I was there to direct, I probably would bill my time, but being able to free myself and say, you know what, if a client calls me and we chit chat for 2 or 3 hours, that's an investment in the future, and I'm not making any money off it. I'm not billing them for my time, but I'm also not quite so busy that I'm not going to take their call or I have to rush off to do billable stuff. Now, not everyone is in that situation, but I didn't realize how freeing it would be when I kind of got there in my business, if you know what I mean.
Do you think that, I hear what you're saying about people maybe not being in a place to be there, but I also think it's about a choice.
Yeah, but
right?
I spent we've been at this almost 10 years, and I only moved into that role maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So I mean, I spent like 6 or 7 years in the trenches doing the work. So I don't know. I think you have to have certain revenue levels to be able to support it.
For sure. I mean, there's no question I'm in the trenches doing everything, but I also know that when I build a plan for a client, I look and say, okay, these are all the things we're going to do this year. I do a calculation of this is how many hours I think it's going to take me, which are normally pretty conservative. And then I determine, okay, based on that, this is what your monthly retainer is going to be. I would say if I actually were to look at what my billable hours are compared to what I'm actually billing them, there's a big discrepancy. Now, I choose to, that's a choice I make as a business owner. Could I probably deliver in the hours that I set out? Yes. But I always want to just do that little extra thing because I know I can, and I feel like I'm cheating my client.
Yeah, so I will clarify that we do charge for strategy.
Yeah.
We do charge for formal projects or ongoing strategy and ongoing things. I'm talking about just that, the freedom, the margin you need to be able to get together for lunch with someone and spend a few hours. When someone calls you up to just kind of out of your calendar just to ask for a quote, or when they want to shoot the breeze, or I'm part of this great AMA mentorship program, which is awesome because I'm connected with someone who's 15 years older, way ahead in their career, maybe even more, 15 years older, way ahead in their career, runs a big agency. Like if I was busy delivering all the time, I wouldn't have the freedom or the ability to do any of that stuff. That's kind of the, you need to pay for strategy. You need to pay for service, but also giving stuff
that's
away
part of
helps.
Your sales. Doing all that stuff is part of the sales.
It is, essentially.
But is it sales? Is it account management?
But account management is sales. People are buying brand and faces and relationships. Products is the last thing that they buy. So all you need at that point is someone to pick up the phone and fulfill the order. But really, you're just building that brand, that trust, that people seeing like, this guy's know what they're talking about. Next time you're gonna come to mind. So that's account management that leads to sales, but sales is very minimal, I think.
True. You know what? I'm probably like, when I think about what you do, I'm probably actually a bad account manager because I'm not a big fan of, I'm not disciplined enough to be good at project management. Like follow up with this person at this specific time for this specific need and chase them down. And I got team who does that. You know,
it's a huge part. If you can't project manage, you're not going to be successful in this role.
Oh gosh, I'm not going to be successful.
You're done.
But you can choose to then have people around you. To your point, you say you rely on your team. You choose to have people around you that can meet those timelines and deadlines and make sure that those things are happening.
Yeah.
When you're smaller, like we are, we have to do all of it. And so I have to be able, if I don't stick to the schedule of that I've planned out for my clients, there's a major things that happen. Number one, I'm not going to get the impact that I was looking for them.
Yeah.
They're going to start asking me,
or the cash flow,
what's happening. And it's all going to fall apart. And then when it comes to the end of the year, when I'm looking to renew that client, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And
right. So that's another question when it comes to, this whole topic, this big topic we're talking about is how, what we have found is in year one, you're getting your feet wet or whatever, you're building trust. Year two, or kind of project two, you can usually like just blow the doors off of it because you have enough trust to be able to say, just let me do my job.
Totally.
You have enough budget, you can do it. Year three, project three, when you've built the trust, when you've totally rocked it, and then they're like, great, what are we going to do to also continue to rock it the second time or even the third time?
Yeah.
And we found this with with other projects we've worked on together too, year after year after year as of a partnership. You're like, year one, you're like, well, these people sucked before. Like you guys used to work with a national broadcaster that just we're like, we could totally do better. And then we're like, great, we did it. And then the next year we're like, what are we going to do now? And then the third year we're like, we're going to totally change it up. It's going to be great. And I thought that was the highlight. And then year four, you're like, oh gosh, how do you, it's just the same people, the same needs, the same story. I think that's why most clients every 5 to 7 years move agencies. But on the agency side, for you with your clients, how do you continue to drive value?
I think the space...
And if you're not scared of it now, did you just become scared of it?
Maybe. No, I think I know no matter what, there's going to be turnover with my clients, right? I think that there's certain organizations where we will fit in very well for 1, 2, maybe 3 years, and then it will be time for them to make a decision as to whether they want to bring an in-house marketer or not, or build their own internal marketing team. Other organizations, I see a place for us maybe on a project basis. I'm not a fool to think that I can play this out. I can have a client that's going to stay for 10 years. I just don't think it's reality. At that point, they should make an investment, to be honest with you, in a marketing department internally versus outsourcing it to us. We can really help them to lay the foundation, get things up and running, understand what's going to drive results for them. And that will normally take between 1 year to 3 years, and then look at how they're going to keep moving forward.
Your whole value prop is taking it on the chin for them, just so that way you can teach them that they need to invest in themselves.
Run that by me again.
Your value prop is based off of you coming in and doing all the hard work, all the sweat equity, teaching me what I don't know, fighting the fights, doing all the work. And then I'm like, wow, thank you for teaching me this. Okay, thanks. I'm going to go hire this person over here because it makes more financial sense. You're like,
yeah. That's just the reality is the clients that we start working with have likely never had marketing before. So they have no idea where to start. And the amount of money that they pay to us, they would not be able to afford someone with our level of experience. So we come in and we look at the scenario and say, okay, we do a whole bunch of strategy work and say, this is what we need to do. And then we build a tactical plan to actually roll that out. And yes, we do educate them. And yes, we do teach them and take them along the path. But at some point, sure, I'm happy to stay on. I'm not saying that I want to be let go, but I can see the reality is that we will be good for, a few years for that window. And hopefully in that process, we have taken them somewhere that they can recognize it and also feel good about the work that we've done, that they'll talk to,
you should get some
this
kind of
person
trailing commission or something. Some kind of back end
I didn't
deal.
say I was going to help find the person to fill the role, but
I think when you do it at the 3-year point, you change everything on them. So they go like, oh, what the we cannot do it ourselves.
Yeah, that might work.
I was talking with this person, like automotive is something that I love, the automotive industry.
Yeah.
We have
Except Nissan.
I would be happy. I drive a Nissan, but I'd be happy if Nissan Canada came to us. That'd be fine. Let's not get upset with our Nissan or Infiniti friends here. But
okay.
But so in the automotive industry, if you think about it on a dealership level, it is super, super hard to be able to drive value there, right?
Yep.
Because a manufacturer hands the dealer the product, so the dealer has no control over the product. The vast majority of the buying decision is made on a brand level or car level online on the national side before they ever come to the dealership. So what is the role of the dealer? It's like, well, I guess whoever's closest to my house or my work, right? Like the buying decision can be a challenge. So yes, you need great customer service. Yes, you need a great account. You need all of the experience, but that's when the person's already walked through the door. So what is marketing? What is the role of marketing on the dealer level when so much of the decision is controlled on the national level, and so much of it has to do with geography and product availability, and then how you handle them when they walk in the door. So I have friends who are like, oh man, like we love automotive. You got to go after automotive. You got to go after automotive. And I go like, what's the value prop? Like, what business drivers do we have to overcome this? And they go like, it doesn't really matter in automotive because there's like very ego driven. It's very budget driven. So you just go in, you tell them that everybody should be doing this, and then you do it. And then you go, okay, and then you go ahead and sell it to 10 or 15 other people. And then when they're all doing it, you come back to the first person and say, everybody's doing this now. You now need to be doing this. And they go, oh, okay. And then you do that, and then you sell it to 10 or 15 people. And then you keep cycling through every year to 3 years, so that way you're always selling newer and newer things. And I'm like, at what point are we driving value? And they go, that's not really your role, is it?
How much
and
money
I'm
you
like,
have
what do
in
you
the
mean
bank?
it's not my role?
Yeah.
Like
At Hopskip, we do not take two clients in the same industry in the same geography.
Wow. I don't know. Like I had this conversation with someone this morning because we're working with a...
Wait, so you can't sell them the same thing over and over like Mark
Yeah,
was
that's
saying.
so. Mark,
Yeah.
what you're saying about
I'm
you
not
go
sure
sell an
about that.
idea to the automotive industry, and then you go sell it to all of their competitors, and then you come back.
You can when you're not value-based.
Sure, that's not how I don't believe that doesn't sit well with me. I don't
Yeah.
think I can really go to my client and say, okay, you're a label client and you do label and manufacturing. So here you go. I'm going to give you, here's what I think we need to do to differentiate you in the market, but I'm going to go down the street and sell it to your competitor as well. So that whatever I'm doing is now competing against what I'm doing with the other space too.
I would agree with you in that specific scenario.
It makes a lot of sense. the way she's
It
explaining
does in that specific scenario. And if you were to relate this to automotive, I would say, okay, if you are located in Toronto and you have a Hyundai dealer, you would not probably want to also work with a Hyundai dealer a few doors down, because they are competing, unless if they're willing to go in this together or agree to work together, because there's a brand presence, great. But if you're working with Hyundai and you go a few doors down and you're working with Audi as well, in my mind, there's no conflict of interest there, because they're different classes, different vehicles, different targets, different things within the same industry.
Agreed, but would you, if it was like Hyundai and Toyota?
Kia? Well, I would depend on the personalities. I would depend on whether I think there's so for example, we work with multiple financial institutions. We work with different FIs who have insurance-based products, helping them sell insurance. Now,
But your approach is completely different with all of them. You always come up with new strategies.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying I think depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it, there is a way to do it in a very honest and open way.
Yeah, I think you just have to be honest and open about
Yeah.
it, right? So, say I have two clients that are in technology, but they do market in different spaces.
Yeah.
So one sells websites that are, $5,000, and one sells websites that are $200,000.
Right.
So I don't feel like
Exactly.
they are competing
Yeah.
against each other. But
But
I
yeah, if
wouldn't.
you had two roofers who were both in the same geography, I don't see how you could.
come up with two different strategies.
Yeah, 'cause
right?
really
you could because
not in the play. The reality is the tactics that you use. There's only so many tactics.
Yeah.
And
But the creative could be different.
right,
creative can be different.
Personality, tone could be different.
And so the strategy may be the same, but the tactics and the creative and the tone and the brand are different. So
the likeliness is that the traffic or the end goal that I'm looking to get to is not different. So how do I get them there?
but what is different is the way they convert the lead. So let's say that I had two roofers and I made it open to them and I said, listen, or I had two pool companies, or I had two of anything. And I said, listen, you will either be one or two, because my other client will either be one or two. But everything that we do will not drive up because you're competing, and we are in control of both of them. And in fact, will not artificially drive up the competition, because we'll manage against that. You have different lead, different brand, different offerings, different USPs. We're not going to take these tactics and copy them here. But so much of lead generation is then turning the lead over to how they work the lead. I mean, ultimately, they're in control of making the sale and the deal. And if you're open and people are comfortable with it, I could see how I could even leverage these two things for everyone's benefit.
Mm-hmm.
If they hate each other, if they're like, you work with that guy,
No, I
you, like then
They're like the Montagues and the Capulets of the
yes,
roofers
exactly,
industry.
or pool industry.
I see the position you're taking. For me, I think in that scenario you'd have to have two different account managers working them in order to not have the overlap happen of how you're managing their digital marketing or how you're managing their their whatever, I don't know what
maybe.
other piece,
No,
right?
I hear what you're saying, maybe. But then it also comes down to
what trade shows to attend, who you're actually marketing to. The reality is it's two roofers.
But does it come to what about this way of looking at it? Working with us,
Yeah.
even though we're working with your competitor,
Mm-hmm.
we still have your interests in mind, and we still will do a better job, and we still will provide more value, and it's still better than you going to someone else who sucks.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't see there being a conflict, to be honest, with you, how you work with me and my clients. I don't see, but if you go to another agency, I see that as completely normal.
Oh, okay.
I have no issue with that. It's more around the side of being able to,
Drive specific strategy for
Yes.
specific creative for specific campaign.
yes,
If you get an awesome idea, who gets it?
yes.
And
what
whoever
if
pays
one
the
has,
most.
one has more budget
No,
than the other, right?
But
So it's
that's,
just,
maybe that's why I don't have a problem with this, because I'm thinking the way we develop creative is so highly customized and so specific, and so many things go into it. For example, if we had two airlines,
Mm-hmm.
I could see that being a challenge. Because it's like you only have there's only so many stories, there's only so many shots, there's only so many things you can do.
Mhm.
I could honestly see that being a real challenge. But
Right.
in most industries and most businesses, the client will not let you run with the project so much that you have so much control that they're not going to influence it back the other way.
I think that's a fortunate place to be in. Really, that
having
you,
two airlines?
No,
or?
having no.
We don't.
Sure, I would be very happy to have two airlines, but being in a place where you can be supporting two companies in the same industry,
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think it's a great place, a great business place to be.
Mm-hmm.
For on the marketing side, I don't see how it's possible.
Yeah, maybe.
But maybe it has a lot to do with what a good account manager is. They're basically so personally involved in them succeeding.
I feel like I'm an extension, like I am part of the team of all my clients. So, and it's funny because one of my clients just came back from a huge conference in the States called D-Scoop. So they're a label company, and there's really no one doing what they're doing in the industry and the way that they're presenting their brand in the industry. And when they were down at D-Scoop, they're having all these conversations with different label companies. The one guy says, I only spend $1,500 a month or $1,500 a year on marketing. I don't know what you get. Maybe he pays for the hosting of his website.
Was that Doug Ford who said that?
No, it was not. But and so the conversation with the client today was around her somewhat questioning, is
Why?
this all worth it? Should I actually be
Yeah.
investing this kind of money in it? But when we actually have the conversation about how they're actually leading the way in their industry versus adjusting because someone else is at the head and they realize if they don't change, they're going to lose all their sales.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great place to be. Now, if I had another label company, I would have taken them through the exact same process that I took Lorpon through, right? I would have rebranded them. I would have done a new website. We would have done video like we did with you guys. All these pieces would have been done, and now they're competing head to head with each other for the same market. I don't feel good about that.
I would challenge you. I would only challenge you to say that I think you could, and I think you would work through it. Because when you work through, so we're working through a very similar strategy process with the manufacturer,
Mm-hmm.
and I love these guys. Like we've worked with them for years, and I love the people, I love the business, I love the business owner, I love talking to them. I look forward to meetings with them because it's fun. Like it's
Yeah.
like I would do it for free. No, leave that. No, but I would do it
Did
probably.
you say you do it for free?
I probably would do it for free. They're paying me.
Yeah.
And then now when I think
They're
about
listening, they should.
another hey Carm, when I think about another manufacturer coming on board, I don't think I'm as excited about the prospect, only because I'm like, well, I hope that it would work as magical as it works with this company. But I also know that if another manufacturer came on board who was specifically in their retail space,
Yeah.
I would agree with you that it would be a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
But if another manufacturer came on board who is not specifically in their very specific vertical or niche, I would have no problem helping them out because so much of what's going to happen through the process is highly, it should be highly customized.
There has to be a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It can't be that they're going after the same space with the same offering. Like it's just,
No.
it is a conflict of interest. So it's a decision we made as a company to be really, and to us, we cast a pretty big net to make sure that we don't create a conflict of interest and do work that's going to compete against the work we're doing for another client.
Mm-hmm. That's honorable.
Well, thanks.
You're like, well, I have morals, Mark.
We've established Mark does not.
I may be Greek, but I'm not going to just steal the money and not pay it back, right?
Yeah, I try not
to go there. Oh,
I love
coming
that
from
brush.
a German.
That was a Roland joke.
It is coming from a German, so that's why it's like, give me my money back. Let's break it down for the listeners with just some tips and takeaways. So, I mean, what would be the things, and anyone can answer these questions. What would be the things where if you're like, again, I don't think anyone grows up and goes, I can't wait to manage accounts. But I
think a lot of people find it as part of their job, and then they're like,
but they may not even know. Like
what?
they may not even realize that. Like Roland,
he just said he doesn't know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it.
No, but 95% of what Roland does is account management, but he refuses to give credit himself as an account manager. Roland, so much of what you do is account management.
I hide behind the camera. That's all I do.
No, that's not true.
Not even.
But like
Okay.
any entrepreneur, any entrepreneur, any salesperson, anyone who's quote unquote like managing a project in a small company, they're essentially managing an account, whether they recognize it or not. So it's like the first step, just admitting you have a problem, or what?
I have a more specific question.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
Let's go ahead and
that
get
was
that
a question.
What would
Okay.
you say, do you have 4 or 5 different little tips of things that you do with clients to keep sort of track of them, or to keep organized or keep scheduled, that help your account management process?
For sure. So have a project management tool is key. So after we build their plan out, that gets rolled into the larger tool that we assign tasks to different people, so that we can be watching how everything's playing out and if there's going to be delays. We do the beginning of every week, I send a status update to my clients to say, this is what we accomplished last week and this is what our focus is this week. And here are the things I need from you. Because that's a really key point. If they're not delivering their pieces, it's really hard for me to keep things moving forward.
We should start writing these down, Roland. These are good tips.
I never done this.
I thought you really needed a pen. I was going to give it to you.
No, we're like, that's a good idea.
That makes sense.
You're recording this.
Wait, are we? Yes, we're recording. Okay.
So yeah, we do this weekly status. We also, I'll meet with them. So I go on site with my clients once a week. Sometimes that's for an hour. Sometimes that's for 8 hours. It depends on where we are, if they've delivered what they need to. If they have not delivered something, then I will make them sit at that table with me to go through all of those things that I need in order for me to keep the plan moving forward. I think also recognizing that you're going to fall off plan at certain points. So how do you manage that? Clients are going to come to you. You can say, this is what we are going to do for the next 12 months, but that's a long time to plan for. So they're going to come to you and say, oh, I heard about this little thing, and what do you think about that, and how can we play it in? So being able to adjust the plan so that you can bring those factors in and really determine with them what is important. Should we go off plan for this idea because it is really good, or should we put that to the side for next year, or whatever it may be? And I think the last tip, just always having open communication.
That's awesome.
That was a really good answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You just overwhelmed me now with no wonder we're not good at account management.
See, man, Mark, you had to stay on top of things.
See, but those are all the things that...
But is that really account management, or is that more project management?
But I think they go hand in hand.
It's the same thing.
It's
the same thing.
For me, project management is more the guy that makes stuff happen. Like stuff you're saying, account management, the guy that just sells the vision, the bigger. Aha! Am I wrong here?
Well,
I think it depends on where you are. In really big organizations, sure, but in smaller organizations, no. It's that person has to be doing it all.
What are you giving me this look for? Like I think about everything you just said, and I was like, wow. Can't wait for my team to do that. Because it's like,
great.
It's like I want to be on the calls.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I have the FaceTime. You know, the location stuff you're talking about, being on location, totally important. Being the person to
You know what else
Chase
helps as
and-
well is that every quarter or every 4 months, we summarize what we've done in the last 4 months.
Now, I will just so the audience doesn't have like a heart attack with how hard this is. You are the type of agency that is on retainer.
Yes.
You're the type of person who's working on a long-term project. So if you were just rolling out a specific project that was like a 6-week window, you still may have the weekly checklist. You still might, chase them around and stuff, but you may not be, you're not going to be spending 8 hours a day on site for a photography shoot for a brochure or
No.
something smaller.
No.
So you would tailor the amount of commitment based on the project.
Yeah, I think some of our, like the smaller project-based work that we're doing, we definitely still make sure that there's a schedule in place that we're working to, so we know we can deliver in 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 12, whatever that window is. But we wouldn't necessarily need to spend the 8 hours with them because the stuff that they are producing or that they're responsible in it wouldn't take that much time, right? It would only be a matter of saying, okay, we need to sit down and spend 2 or 3 hours together to get all these pieces so that we can go away and do our job.
Now, in all of this, you mentioned, change requests or the idea of, hey, this is shiny and new and your thing looks really boring right now. So like 2 things. How do you keep, anytime when you're early on in a strategy, there's a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
And then when you're at mid-delivery, it's like, I can't see everything being made. How do you keep the excitement or the emotional impact along? And then the second thing, which I think may play into this too, is how do you know if the client is asking too much of you, or how do you just handle like those changes in the emotions throughout a longer project?
Yeah. So the first piece is that it definitely takes time. So say we come in and a client hasn't done any marketing whatsoever. We have to spend a lot of time building foundation, right? They probably don't have a website or it's not a very good one. They've never done any digital marketing. There's nothing there really for us to work in. So it's going to take us probably 3 to 4 months to actually build that foundation. But what we'll try and do at the same time as we're laying that is find some low-hanging fruit where we can show some results so that they're staying motivated through the process and knowing that, okay, we're doing little things over here while this is happening. Because if you just focus on that foundational piece, you're going to lose, you're not going to, but you could potentially lose them in the process. So yeah, I try to find some low-hanging fruit.
So it's just about, I guess, being focused on the experience you're taking them through as well.
Yeah, for sure. The second part of your question, when do I know a client's asking too much? That's a hard one, especially for us because we are retained, right? So in their mind, sometimes they can think...
They're like, wait a minute. This one pot of money, I know I've spent it 4 times this month with you, but surely this will stretch across 18 different activities.
Or we've hired you to be our outsourced marketing department so we can throw anything at you.
Yeah.
And you're just going to work on it because you're marketing.
Yeah.
That's what you do for us. And that is true. We are marketing. And so we should be able to add a few pieces here and there.
I don't understand. Why can't you get my emails to work?
Yeah.
Is it that stuff?
Sometimes. But I think that there is, you have to be able to just talk it out, right? The reality is if I build a plan that says, here are all the things I need to do, and they come to me with another idea. Now, it may be a great idea and something may have happened in their industry that this is the thing we should that is the thing we should focus on. But you have to we have to be able to take away from something else then. So that conversation about, okay, this is a great idea, but that means we have to remove over here. You have to walk them through so they understand it and they can make a decision, because ultimately at the end of the day, it is their call. Do you want my time to go into A or do you want my time to go into B? Because I don't have enough hours committed to you to do both, or we need to increase your retainer in order for me to do so. So it is hard though, because there's some things, and I think that's that account management piece again, right? That you always want to do stuff for your clients, or this is how I operate. I want to do more. I want to be able to get them where they want to go. And if there's this little thing I can do, why not? But where's the line? At some point, you've got to draw one. So
I'll run this by you, and because we're running out of time, and we can cut this whole section if you think it doesn't work. But I'm interested in getting your feedback on it. So I'll run this by you. I was meeting with my mentor that I've been connected with through the AMA, who you're about to become president of.
Yes.
And last week I asked him the question, okay, I love asking people this question. They don't usually get it or answer it, but I go, I would like you to tell me what you think, like you don't know what you don't know. Tell me what I don't know, or tell me what you think I'll look back in 5 years and think, boy, was I naive to think that. So tell me what I don't know, or tell me what you think I'm going to be kicking myself in a few years for not realizing, like just with blinders on, I just didn't see it. And he's like, you know, in the agency world, when you're building something and you have a client and you have trust, the biggest thing that we struggle with is when the client comes to us with a need that the need can be defined, but the solution cannot be defined. So we're not even sure yet what the solution is.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure what the value of it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure how to price it,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to get started. And it's like, hey, client comes to us, they have need, we'll figure it out later. We think it'll cost this and we think it'll look like this, but we don't know. And I've built my business off of never doing that.
No.
Like I'm way too risk adverse. I'll be like, well, let's scope it and let's make assumptions and let's do this.
Yeah.
And then those projects more often than not don't proceed because we like build a business case for not moving forward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have this mentor who runs a successful agency who says, no. You jump off the cliff, you take the leap, and you work with the client through it to figure out your stuff as you go through it. I'm interested in what your thoughts are on that because it terrifies me.
Yeah, I think that there's a balance. So I'm not risk adverse, but I'm cautious. I think in certain circumstances, sure, I would jump off the ledge and go down that road with them. But I think I would like to believe that I would be honest that this is going to be a collaborative effort to figure it out. If I really had no clue and I didn't know, I couldn't come up with experts that I could bring to the table to help me, then I don't think I would do it. But the question I think I would have asked him, maybe you did, was in that situation, in those scenarios, if he can look back and say, that's happened to us 10 times, how many times have they been successful? Because if it's like, oh, only twice it's worked,
Yeah, no,
then I'm not interested in that. But if it's 80% of the time, then I'm interested in learning more as to how they manage that.
The impression I got was that it works, and it always works because it's
100%
undefined.
of the time.
It's undefined. Right,
That's
so
fair.
like
Then
if
the
you can be
cha-
open with the client and say, "Listen, this is a really interesting challenge. We think this is the solution. We think it'll cost X,
Yeah.
but we won't know until we dig deeper into this, and we can't dig deeper into it until we get started."
Right.
You know, it's the chicken and the egg. It's like, do you want to pay us to figure it out, and then not move forward, or should we just move forward and figure it out together? And that's when it falls back into my mind of like just incredible account management, like just
For sure.
having to be so on it to get through. But then, is it successful? It's like, well, is the client happy and did the agency make money? I don't know about the third, like, did it drive a ton of value? But if the client's happy and the agency was profitable, then I guess it was successful.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, but
so.
when you scope things out, you don't know that either. You think you do. You try to
Right.
get ready for all this.
So there's like a false.
But
You're
you
saying
never-
there's a false sense of security I have in scoping things when really it
100%.
when really
Because
it's-
you also
it's-
tie
it's
yourself to a
fake.
budget, and then you're stuck to that budget, and you can never move. And from my experience producing things, there's been many times when I'm halfway through and I'm like, this is not working. This is not gonna work.
Like it'd be so much better if we just had X kind of thing.
It would be better. Sometimes it's better if it's just open to let's figure out what it is. Because there's, in the past I had conversation with you, and like I had started projects, and I'm halfway through. I'm like, this is not gonna work. This is not. No, the budget's not gonna work. The idea's not gonna work. A lot of things are not gonna work. But you're halfway through it, and that's what we planned.
Don't
That's what
worry,
we talked about.
it was never one
It
of your
was never
projects.
you.
It was never Tanya. Any of your
Well,
projects.
but what I was going to say is in that situation, because what you produce is so visual, if you don't invest that, if you were working on something and you get halfway through and say, this isn't working.
we pull the ripcord.
If you
usually.
don't, yeah, you do. Because in the end, whatever you put out into the market is a
Yeah.
clear representation of who you are as an organization. And that's how you're going to drive more business. So you
Right.
don't want to put garbage into the market.
We had that local technology company we worked together on. You
Yes.
worked with Oscar, and halfway through it was a similar. It's like,
Yep.
listen, we started this under the impression that these 7 things would line up.
Mhm.
None of them lined up.
Yeah.
So how do we regroup? And Roland, we shot that commercial for that airline, for that vacation company. We shot that commercial, and halfway through, we took the client out for dinner and said, "This is about like we need to put the brakes on this and regroup because we're about to really, really screw
Sink
everything
it.
up." Yeah, like what did you just say? Sink it?
Like
Sink
like
it?
a boat, yeah.
Yeah.
Sink it.
It's not a good reference with airlines.
Yeah.
Wait.
No, not sink it, but
No.
yeah. Anyway, I don't know what you think of that, but like we are testing selling that way a bit more. And it's like it's easier to get the sell. Hopefully, we're
But
able
you're-
to deliver on our extraordinary experience still.
You're jumping with a net. right? If you are open and you communicate that to the client that you're going to be working through this, you're giving yourself the safety net to fall into. If you just do it without laying that foundation or laying that framework,
and the client thinks you got it all under control and you don't.
Yeah,
Oh,
that I
terrible.
would stay away. That
That's
to me
terrible.
is risk.
The other thing is, and I was saying this to someone, like we're testing this with one project, and I'm like, you know what? If it doubles the budget, we are not going back to the client and saying, hey, give us more money. Like, this is our fault.
Yeah,
like, we're testing
this
selling model of selling it a little bit unscoped, working it through.
No,
But
you have to go back and ask for more budget.
No, if it goes over budget, then it's our fault because we should
No.
never have sold it that way to begin with.
No, but you sold the idea, the concept, but there is something in the creative part that they really find that has value or adds value, but it costs more than what's already budgeted, and they agree to that. Then why can you
if they
add
agree
more
to
budget?
it. But I'm saying,
they're
if
gonna
you-
come blindside like, here's another bill for the double amount. Like, that'd be crazy.
No.
You don't do that.
No,
but
okay.
that's why the collaboration, the conversation. Hey, I have the great idea. We love it. Okay, it's gonna cost $5,000 more. Like, I know, and it's up
Yeah.
to them to say yay or nay. And they say nay, then you figure out another
As
creative way
long
to go
as,
about
but
it.
we've talked about this though in previous podcasts. As long as it doesn't feel like you're crapping on the original concept, like you're not saying like,
No, it's
like
an
this is an
enhancement to the
opportunity.
original.
Exactly. It's not like the original wouldn't be successful. It's that this is an opportunity to do more.
Yeah.
But that's part of the
More
discovery,
with an
because when
extra
you
zero. We have this new process, which came from Jacqueline Grossman.
Oh, awesome.
We were in a meeting and she said more, and Roland said, sorry, is it more or is it more? Where every O adds a zero to the end of the budget. And she said, it's more.
I'm pretty sure I can see that playing out.
And Roland was like, can we have 3 extra zeros? And I was like, hold on. In this philosophy, then you go from 10,000 to 100,000 to 1,000,000 very, very quickly with just a few O's in there. More. Okay, Tania, listen, thanks so much for joining us for the last hour. It's been awesome.
Thank you. It's been great.
And if people want to get in touch with you, they can reach you on Twitter, right?
That's right.
It's, what is it? It's at HopskipMKTG.
That's correct.
Hopskip Marketing, basically, MKTG. And so we'll see you. Oh, we got a big event next week with AMA.
Yes.
Are you going to be there?
I sure am.
We're sponsoring it.
I know you are.
Yeah, you got to be there to be like, to just stand up at the end. You're just going to be like, bravo, these guys. Woo! You
Are there
gotta,
free tickets for this event?
We'll talk.
Some of your clients are going to be there too.
A few people I invited.
Lorpon's
Yeah.
coming as well.
Oh, awesome. Well, one of our clients is on the panel. I managed to get them on. So.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah. Anyway, so if anyone's in Toronto and they happen to hear, this is going out after that, isn't it? So the event we had the other day was really great, wasn't it?
I know, that's up to you.
That was a great event.
Anyway, thanks.
Awesome.
Okay, so that was our conversation with Tania Stadnik. As I mentioned, if you'd like to find out more about her, you can reach her on Twitter. If you'd like to know a little bit more about AMA, Google American Marketing Association. It's all around North America. Here in Toronto, it's the Toronto chapter. We have all kinds of cool events. They just had this big summit event, which is seeing the rollout of lots of other cool things. I don't actually have any of the details, but AMA is cool.
I got
cool.
a free ticket.
Everything is. You have a free ticket? I think it's
I got
in
one.
Chicago, isn't it?
So?
I don't know where it is, but anyway, we have.
Would you know that if you had a ticket, or do you think you wouldn't know that? if
Well,
you
the
had a
event
ticket?
happened, so clearly it's yes. Chicago.
You know what I do know from anecdotally from other friends in other geographies. Like I have a friend who runs a business in Richmond, Virginia. Part of their growth years ago was the fact that they got connected with the AMA in
100%.
Richmond, Virginia. It's just a good organization.
Right.
But that aside, I hope you enjoyed the conversation we had with Tania
Right.
around account managing. We all now know that we have to go away and create like detailed schedules that have weekly updates that
Yeah.
chase people.
Yeah, get better at that.
Yeah, Roland. Why aren't you getting better at that already?
I'm not an account manager. I'm a producer. If I account manage, who's going to produce?
You.
What are you going to do to be a better account manager? What's
I'm
your
gonna-
takeaway?
I'm going to work at it every single day.
You know what, Roland? You know what? You never got to stop. That's the problem. Too many people stop.
Will you please stop?
Won't you please stop? I'm Scott Hoy. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining us this week. Leah, Roland.
Thanks. I
Hang
was gonna
on.
say,
We
I'm
didn't do baby
I-
update.
No, because I'm joining you like post. What is it called when you are dead? Like post.
Posthumously?
Posthumously.
Is that what it is? I don't know if it's humorous.
No, it's not
but
humorously.
It's post.
a little tidbit.
What?
It's post something. Postonymously.
Well, who knows?
Is that
But
what it is?
this is a little tidbit of information at the end of the podcast. We've recorded this before I went on mat leave, and now I am gone.
Yeah. Well, I
Wait, you
think they
gave
would know
birth
that
already?
because I think they would know
Yes.
that because in the opening I said I'm joined in studio with Leah Earl and
So are you Skyping from the hospital right now?
she's Skyping from the past.
No, what?
What? I don't get it.
No, we recorded this at the end of April when Leah was still here. So
That's right.
hey, I want to give out a
When
shout
everyone
out.
was still happy.
I wanna
I'm not
give-
quite sure she'll
Santa
make it
was
for the
still a
last
great-
week.
I want to give a shout out to everyone from the past. This is Mark from end of April, Mark. I just want to talk to you middle of May or beginning of May, Mark, when this goes out. Buddy, stay strong, okay?
Wait.
Love
What?
yourself.
You started this
I'm
with, I
sending-
want to give a shout out to everyone from the past.
Let's just wrap it up.
And then I decided, you know what? I don't
Screw
do?
everyone from the past.
I don't spend enough time telling myself how awesome I
Yeah.
am. Mark,
Okay.
you're awesome.
Good job, buddy.
Even though everyone on YouTube
But
yells at you,
Good.
even though we don't get as much fan love as I'd like, you know.
Let's go get that wood chipper and move on with our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, it's
Go
wood
get the
chipper.
wood
It's
chipper.
wood chipper weekend.
Wood chipper weekend.
Wood chipper weekend.
It's the wood chipper
Bum, bum,
weekend.
bum, bum.
Guys, guess what I'm doing tomorrow?
You're
Wood
wood
chipping?
chipping?
I'm chipping wood.
Chipping wood.
We're getting a wood chipper, getting all my friends together. We're going to clear some brush.
Again, are you going to Burskish?
I guess I might have
You
to.
gotta get
but-
some brisket
but we
in there,
might-
eh?
But mostly it's my Christian friends who don't drink, so they're very cheap friends. They come
Isn't
over
that
to help with work, and they don't
craziness?
drink alcohol.
Wait, they don't even have
Do you
one at
make
the
them
end, like
food?
high five?
A
That'll go
few-
like
a few of my
soccer
friends
plays
will.
and touch each other on the bum and shit?
No, a few of my friends will, but
What, touching the bum and
but
stuff?
can I? No, can I tell you that nothing says spring like getting out in the yard, clearing some brush, getting a wood chipper, putting on some Garth Brooks, going out and buying a new Toyota Tacoma,
And
getting
drinking some beer.
boots, drinking some beer,
Put some
and
meat on the
just-
barbecue, the grill.
just- oh yeah, meat on the grill. Get your
That's
kids
right.
out there and just live life. Let me tell you,
That's
live
the life.
Those are all things that I like.
I
I'm not
honestly,
being, I'm not being
I honestly
ironic.
didn't think you were mocking anything until
No.
the accent at the end, and then I was like, "Whoa,
No.
that was all really good stuff."
Those are
Whoa.
all things I like. I
Yeah.
like everything there.
Are you buying something? Or buying a new car?
No,
He wants
I
to.
really want a Toyota Tacoma.
That's why we need to sell.
I need to hustle. My whole like Mark needs a Porsche thing. No, at the end of the day, I just want a pickup truck and be able to afford the gas.
A pickup truck is so impractical for the amount of children you have.
No, because you can get a 4-door
Because
with
it's
a
just for
short
him.
bed.
It's just for him, not for the family.
Okay.
No, 4-door, short in bed.
Still, like only 5
Pack your
people.
car seats in there?
Yeah, but my current sedan only holds two or three kids in the
So
back
the truck
anyway.
is for you and not for the family.
Yeah, well, we have a town and country for my
There we
wife
go.
and the kids.
Fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Hey, fair play, as they say in
Yeah.
Britain. Fair play.
Fair
All right,
play.
So that about wraps us up. for
Anyway,
today.
if anyone would like to leave us feedback, a question, a comment, go ahead and leave that on YouTube, or you can email us feedback@notsocorporatepodcast.com. We, at Christmas we said we want more more listener interaction. We are ready. We're ready for guest hosts. We're ready
It's
for
been 5
fun.
months, and we're here to tell you we still want that.
No, and the only reason I'm saying it now is because when Leah's gone, we'll kind of be missing a producer. So if anyone wants to step up and help produce this, we are totally open. The call is going out there.
If you would like to, for free, guest produce this podcast,
Yeah,
now's your chance.
now's your chance.
It's not for free. It's for an opportunity.
Yeah, it's for
That's
experience.
different, Leah.
Oh,
Nothing in life is free.
No, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyway.
sorry. I'm on mat leave, so I don't know.
That's right.
She's confused. She's confused. What's happening? What day is today, Leah? What day is
I
today?
don't know.
she doesn't even know.
I have 2 kids, and one's like a week old or something. Who knows what's going on?
Anyway, guys, thanks so much for listening.
Oh, goodbye.
Hey.
Oh, was I supposed to hit record?